Do you have any idea that if you bought some altcoins last cycle at the bottom, how much money you would have right now? I can show you exactly, but I can also show you what it's worth it to diversify your portfolio. So how much money would you have if you bought a bunch of altcoins so you have a good average? You will be shocked about the gains that you can really make in crypto if you got your timing right. So let's check that out. Welcome to the Fomo Factory. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on the bell notification, and leave a comment with your opinion about something. Let's not waste any time and let's check it out. So this is going to be a very interesting video because there are a lot of altcoin maxis out there. There are a lot of Bitcoin maxis out there. Who is the clear winner and who is the clear loser? So we're not only going to take a look at how much money you would actually made if you bought some specific altcoins, but also how much money would you have lost if you have bought the altcoins at the wrong time. Like I said earlier on this channel, timing is key, and it's more important than the specific altcoins that you are buying. Let me show you this. Let's start with Bitcoin. The last cycle, Bitcoin bottomed at the 10th of December 2018. Of course, you will not be able to go all in on the exact bottom and go all out on the exact top. So you won't have these exact same returns, of course. That's what you should know. But we are trying hard on this channel to time very well and to just dollar cost so you do not miss out on anything. But for the sake of the video and what the market is actually offering us, Bitcoin bottomed the week of the 10th of December 2018. Now let's take a look. For this video, we will use an investment amount of $1,000. Some people have way more, some people have way less, but let's say we are investing in crypto with $1,000. What if you bought Bitcoin then? Let's calculate that. If you bought Bitcoin right here with $1,000, you would have had $20,000. Well, yeah, $20,000 here in November 2021. So it's quite funny to see that in 3 years, just 3 years, you can 20x your money with the safest asset in this whole crypto space. Now it's totally up to you why you are in crypto. A lot of people, they want Bitcoin, they store it, they don't sell it ever again, and that's completely fine. But I do want to say this. If you want to make some money with crypto, don't be scared to take your profits. Now, of course, it's now way too soon to talk about profit taking, as it's not maybe even the time to buy it, but hodling and diamond hands is kind of nonsense in my opinion. Because if you bought Bitcoin for $1,000 and you are in the camp of diamond handing, then yeah, eventually you would have had around $4,000. You now would have $8,000, so you're still okay. So of course, hodling, it works, but what do you rather have, 20K or 8K? And eventually it went to $4,000, right? So what's the point of riding away from 1K all the way to 20K and going back all the way to 4K again, right? You can also sell in this area and buy back in this area, and you would have way more right now. So I'm not saying you have to be a professional trader, but if you want to get the most out of it, you want to be a little active with crypto. But let's write this down, because there is a really cool conclusion coming at the end of this video. So let's make a sheet like this, right? Where we invest in Bitcoin. From the bottom to the top, you made it 20x. So if you invest $1,000 right here, your return would be $20,000. Right? But let's also in a short while do this where you don't really invest at the best time ever. Now, what if you do not invest in Bitcoin in that period, but you invest in Ethereum in that same period with the same amount of money? What was the outcome exactly? Well, let's calculate that. You invest $1,000, and once you did that, you would have had $52,000 on Ethereum in return, and you now would still have $20,000. So yeah, you can kind of say whatever you want, but Ethereum did a lot better than Bitcoin in the last cycle. So if you would just buy Ethereum and hold it all the way so far, you would have made the same profits that if you bought Bitcoin and sold it exactly at the top. So that's Ethereum, and the purpose of this video is not saying like, yo, you know, buy a bunch of Bitcoin, you're gonna make a 20x, because it happened last cycle, right? But it could actually. right? There's no use for me saying that Bitcoin cannot go to $500,000. It's definitely, crypto shows us nothing is impossible. But now let's mess around with some altcoins, and also let's combine some altcoins and Bitcoin with some altcoins, right? Because we're gonna take a look at what are the returns if you buy at the best moment, but also what are the losses if you buy at the wrong moment. And that's not something that you know, right, when you buy it. Otherwise, if everybody knows that, everybody would be rich, of course. So basically, based on this cycle at least, the safest risk reward that you can do? Let's check it out with a couple of altcoins. For example, first Cardano. How much money would you made if you put $1,000 in Cardano back then? Same day. It wasn't the exact bottom for Cardano, but at the Bitcoin bottom, right? What if you did that? Let's calculate that. So if you put $1,000 in Cardano back then, you would have made, let's round this up, $100,000, right? With a 1K investment, the 10th of December 2018, in August 2021, you 100x'd your money. 100x. So you actually, if you put in $10,000 in this asset, right, you would have made yourself a millionaire by not doing anything else than pressing the buy button once and pressing the sell button once. Well, in theory, that works, of course. On the other hand, it's not what I would recommend you, because who says this is going to happen again or to your favorite asset, and who says it's that easy to time the exact bottom and to time the exact top, while actually here was the bottom for Cardano, right? Not here, right? You first went all the way down to $800, so you lost 20% of your money, right? But then basically from March 2020 till August 21, so in 1.5 years, you made more than 100x. But yeah, that's timing, and you know, in real life, you will DCA if you are smart, because you do not know where the bottom is. And what if you bought Dogecoin? I mean, let's check out the top 10 assets right here, some of the top 10 assets at least, you know, that are around for a while and so far maintaining that level to have the best outcome. Well, let's take a look at Dogecoin right here. Yeah, and that's also absolutely incredible, of course. If you put $100 or $1,000 in Dogecoin, at the top, you would have had, well, let's see, $330,000. All right, but let's take one more a little outside of the top 10, because of course the current top 10 would have gave you pretty decent returns when you bought it back then. But what if we go a little outside of the top 10 and we go, for example, with, let's say, AVAX. Was AVAX around back then? Let's take a look. Well, it was. And if you put $1,000 into AVAX, the sad thing is also, this is where Bitcoin bottomed, and that's what you see with a lot of altcoins, right? When Bitcoin had its bottom, altcoins went down way more. AVAX basically lost 45% first, right? And that 45% is a lot. I mean, yeah, you would have made 25K anyway. But what if you bought it right here? You would have made 50K with $1,000. So it is a big difference. Plus first, September 2020, before you really get your investment out, it's already January 2021, right? So it takes 4 months before you are even playing even with it. All right, let's mix it up a little bit. What if you feel like, okay, altcoins, I don't know, too risky for me. So you want to go with Ethereum and Bitcoin. So if you put $1,000 in total in and you divide it equally, right? So $500 in Bitcoin and $500 in Ethereum. You're not gonna cherry pick like, okay, this is the best risk reward. You just put an equal amount of money into everything. In that case, you would have turned your $1,000 into $35,000 with the two safest assets. Now let's do something else. Let's say you want to have a portfolio with 10 coins, right? And you obviously picked the current top 10. I can already tell you, you are now not gonna pick the exactly top 10 of the next cycle, of course, but it's all hypothetically, of course, right? So let's say current top 10, Bitcoin, Ethereum, BNB, XRP, Cardano, Doge, Matic, Sol, DOT, and Litecoin. I don't know if it was Matic, if it was around back then though. Let's take a look. Okay, so Solana, Matic, and DOT weren't around back then, but we still have a good solid, spread it out portfolio between the rest, right? And then you would have turned your $1,000 into, what was the top? Right here, I think. Let's say $155,000. And you now will still be sitting at $47,000. Now, this is also a possibility. If you've bought what is called right now Luna Classic, back in the day Luna, right? That's also what you can do. And then you'll see that first your $1,000 was worth just $150. So you got completely wrecked. At the end of the day, however, you would have made $130,000. But again, diamond handing doesn't always reward you because you do not know how some things are going to play out. Then your $1,000 would now be worth 15 cents. Well, I'm not gonna mess up my sheet with that, but you get the point, right? So you see that a spread out portfolio is the most safe way to go with, and it provides you with some very decent returns. But what if you buy it at the complete wrong moment? How safe is it to then be in altcoins or in Bitcoin or a combination of those? Let's see how wrecked these things could get us. Now let's take a look at this, because Bitcoin had its top at the 10th of November 2021. Let's say you suck and you bought crypto exactly that date, and believe me, you wouldn't be the only one. What happened then? So let's see how this goes. If you did this with Bitcoin or Ethereum or ADA or Bitcoin and Ethereum or that same top 10, how would you end up? So with the same $1,000, all right? You put in Bitcoin right there. The low that you would have would be right here. You would have had $240. At the moment, you would be sitting at $429 though. So the conclusion that we can already make is panic selling at the bottom is not really worth it as well, because you went all the way down to $240. But if you do not sell there, then you would have had a lot more already. And let's do the same for the rest. Ethereum, you would have had 214. Now you would have had 380. So, okay, flippening, not so far, because if you would have had Bitcoin back then, you would have had more money right now than if you just were in Ethereum back then. Well, I wonder how this looks when you do this with some altcoins. With Cardano, you would have turned your $1,000 into $116. And the funny thing is that Cardano basically already started crashing since May and not November. So if you bought the top right there, you would have been way more wrecked. My bad. Not May, September. September the 2nd, 2021. Let's take a look how that would have gone. Yeah, you would have turned your $1,000 into $80. So that's not so good. But let's go with the previous date, as that's what we're working with. If you just hold, you now have $168. With Dogecoin, you would have turned your $1,000 into $207. You would now have $289. Your AVAX, which is quite funny, it peaked a little bit later, right? So you would have turned your $1,000 first into $1,500, was $1,600, but then rode all the way down to $127. You would now have $199. So let's say you want to do this a little safer and you feel like, okay, just being in Bitcoin in a bear market is maybe too boring for me, so let's go with Bitcoin and Ethereum. What would have done that? Bitcoin and Ethereum, again, equally divided, $1,000 in at the top, you would have gone all the way down to $238. Now you would have had $405. And again, what if you bought the current top 10 back at the top? At the lowest, you would have had $218, and now it will be worth $340. Now look at this conclusion that we can make out of this. This is a bull market, and this is a bear market, right? Your return in a bull market would be highest if you go with coins like Doge, right? Like Cardano. We also saw what happened to Luna, though. So what's best in this? Well, if you take the top 10, also Bitcoin and Ethereum, it's the safest way and you have the best gains so far. So in my opinion, in a bull market, it's really worth it to diversify your portfolio. But you have to understand the market when the market turns around. Because when a bull market turns into a bear market, you completely have to adjust your portfolio. Because if you only sit in altcoins, right? Cardano, 100x, Doge 300x, AVAX 25x, also very good. The top 10, 155x. You make a lot of returns. But when you look at the bear market, Cardano turned your $1,000 into 116, Doge to 207, AVAX to 127. And even if you take the complete top 10, so you feel like I have a good, solid, diversified portfolio, you still end up with $218 at the bottom. Now, what's the highest number you see right here? That's Bitcoin and Ethereum, and Bitcoin and Ethereum. So the best way to be in a bear market outside of cash is the blue chips, Bitcoin and Ethereum. Now, if you really want to be safe, you can be there all the time, basically, right? Because you also see then in a bull market, Bitcoin gave you a 20x, Ethereum gave you a 52x. And that's around a 35x on average, while you lose like less money than anything else. So it is the best risk-reward ratio. So it completely depends on you. How much risk are you willing to take and how much money are you willing to lose if stuff doesn't work out the way you want it to work out? Therefore, my advice, altcoins are nice, but in a bear market, leave them the hell alone. That's it for now. If you like the content, like the video. If you have any questions, suggestions, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, turn on the bell notification. See you soon.